Once there was a guy named Sauron who loved rings. He made a whole bunch, and he gave them to all his friends. But he also made one ring to rule them all, and it was super evil. The king of the good guys broke his sword, but he cut the ring from Sauron's hand, and Sauron vaporized. The king was supposed to destroy the ring in a volcano called Mount Doom. Cast it into the fire! But he didn't, and the ring got lost for a couple thousand years. It was found by a creepy guy named Gollum, and he lost it to a hobbit named Bilbo Baggins. And that's where the story really begins. In a little neighborhood called the Shire, Bilbo Baggins is getting ready for his birthday. His old buddy Gandalf arrives, and Bilbo's nephew Frodo says, "Man, Bilbo's been acting weird." At the party, Bilbo makes a big speech and disappears. Step, 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 step. Bilbo reappears at home, and Gandalf says, "Get rid of that ring, Bilbo." Bilbo gets real mad for a second, then he drops the ring and leaves town. Frodo comes home, and Gandalf says, "This is the one ring. If Sauron gets it, he'll take over Middle-earth. He's already sent out Black Riders to find it. Get out of here, Frodo. I'll meet you soon." So Frodo takes the ring and skedaddles. He brings along his buddy Samwise Gamgee, and they run into Merry and Pippin, two troublemaking hobbits who steal carrots. Frodo gets a creepy feeling, so they all hide under a tree. But a Black Rider smells them, and they run! They're chased through the woods to a river, and they escape on a raft. Meanwhile, Gandalf visits his boss, Saruman the White. "We have to stop Sauron." "No. We must join with him, Gandalf." "Never!" And Gandalf is imprisoned in Saruman's tower. The hobbits arrive at the bar where they're supposed to meet Gandalf, but he's not there. Pippin gets drunk and knocks into Frodo, who accidentally puts on the ring. Everyone's like, "What?" Frodo reappears, and a guy named Strider says, "You hobbits are coming with me." The hobbits are led by Strider to an old watchtower called Weathertop. While Strider scouts around, Frodo takes a nap, and the other guys light a fire, which is pretty dumb because Black Rider sneak attack! The riders go after Frodo, who puts on the ring, revealing their true ghostly form. Frodo gets stabbed in the shoulder, but Strider shows up with a torch and scares the ring wraiths away. Frodo's infected with ghost poison, so Strider tries an herbal remedy. But then Arwen, Strider's ex-girlfriend, shows up and puts Frodo on her horse. She leads the ring wraiths to a river, does some elf magic, and they all get washed away. Frodo wakes up in an elf resort called Rivendell, and there's Gandalf. He's been pretty busy. He was stuck at the tippy top of a spooky wizard tower, and Saruman was like, "Surrender! Never!" And Gandalf falls off the tower, but is rescued by his best friend the eagle. So Elrond, the Lord of Rivendell, says, "We must destroy the ring." Gimli the dwarf tries to smash it with an axe, but no dice. Someone must throw the ring into Mount Doom. And a guy named Boromir says, "One does not simply walk into Mordor." Frodo says, "I'll do it, but I'm gonna need some help." So along with an elf named Legolas, they form the Fellowship of the Ring. Old Bilbo is there too, and he gives Frodo his sword. But then Frodo shows the ring, and Bilbo gets real scary, and then sad. Boromir discovers that Strider's real name is Aragorn, and he's the descendant of the king. Aragorn and Arwen make out. So the Fellowship sets out for Mordor. They try to cross an icy cliff, but it doesn't work out. So they have to pass through the Mines of Moria, which have a cool magical door. Frodo guesses the password, and the door opens. But Pippin throws a rock in the water and wakes up a giant squid thing. So they all run inside the mine really fast. They find themselves in the dwarf tomb of Gimli's cousin. Pippin messes with something, because of course he does. Boom, boom, boom. Goblins and a cave troll! Ah! Everybody was goblin fighting. The cave troll stabs Frodo with a spear, and once again it looks like the end for Mr. Baggins. But the hobbits rush to help, and Legolas shoots the troll in the brain, and he dies. Frodo had some secret armor on, so he's okay. The team gets out of there as fast as they can, and they cross a really skinny bridge. But they are pursued by a Balrog, a demon of the ancient world. Gandalf goes, "You shall not pass!" The bridge collapses, and the Balrog falls into the abyss. But so does Gandalf. Gandalf! We gotta go, because goblins. They escape the mines, feeling pretty upset about Gandalf. But they make their way to the forest of Lothlorien. They meet Galadriel, who's like kind of a cool elf witch. Galadriel has a magical bird bath, and she tells Frodo to look inside. He sees all the bad stuff that'll happen if he doesn't destroy the ring. And he says, "I'll just give you the ring." And Galadriel gets super scary for a second and says, "Nah, you can keep it." Then everybody gets in boats and heads off down the river. Back at Creepy Wizard Tower, the Eye tells Saruman, "Build me an army." So Saruman gets his goblin friends to cut down all the trees in his yard. And he builds an evil factory making all kinds of weapons. He also breeds a race of super goblins called Uruk-hai. And he says, "Bring me those hobbits." The team makes camp on a riverbank. Frodo goes for a walk, followed by Boromir. Hey, can I have that ring? No. Give me the ring! Frodo puts on the ring and goes invisible, and Boromir falls on his face. Then he's like, oh man, what did I do? Invisible Frodo runs to this ruined seat thing where he looks out and sees all the way to Mordor, to Mount Doom, and the Tower of Barad-dûr with the Eye of Sauron! I see you. Frodo freaks out, so he hops down and there's Aragorn. But suddenly the Uruk-hai attack. Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli do some great fighting. But the Uruk-hai have also found Merry and Pippin. Boromir to the rescue! Boromir kills a bunch of orcs, but then meets the Uruk-hai captain. Boromir gets arrowed, and arrowed, and arrowed! Merry and Pippin are carried away! Aragorn for the win! Boromir passes on and is sent down the waterfall. Frodo heads off to Mordor alone, but Sam goes, Mr. Frodo! No, Sam, you can't swim! Don't you lose him, Samwise Gamgee. And I don't mean to. The other guys show up and see Frodo and Sam striking out on their own. Aragorn says, we gotta help Merry and Pippin. Let's hunt some orc. Yes! Frodo and Sam look to the road ahead and the land of Mordor.